In the next few minutes, you're going to discover a spiritual weapon so powerful that it can disarm your opponents, preserve your peace, and align you with God's will. This weapon is always available to you, costs nothing, and yet is often overlooked. Stay tuned as we unpack the biblical basis for using silence as a spiritual weapon. We'll explore how Jesus wielded this tool masterfully and how you can incorporate it into your own spiritual battles, transforming your relationships and deepening your faith. Have you ever felt the weight of words unsaid, the power they hold when kept inside? In a world that always wants us to explain ourselves, staying quiet can feel weak. But what if I told you that silence could be your greatest strength? Indeed, C.S. Lewis offers profound insights on the power of silence. He once wrote, "I have learned now that while those who speak about one's miseries usually hurt, those who keep silence hurt more." Let's look at Jesus, our perfect example. He showed us how powerful silence can be when people accuse us. Remember when he stood before Pilate? People were saying bad things about him, but he stayed quiet. This wasn't because he was weak. It was because he was very strong. Think about it. How often do we rush to defend ourselves? We try to explain, but our words get twisted. We end up feeling worse than before. But Jesus did something different. He chose to be silent. His silence spoke louder than any words could. It kept his spiritual power intact. It confused the people who were accusing him. They didn't know what to do with his quiet strength. When we stay silent, we can keep our peace. We don't waste our energy on fights that don't matter. We stay focused on what's really important. Silence helps us listen to God and follow his plan for us. Silence can be like a shield. It protects us from getting pulled into useless arguments. It gives us time to think and pray. When we're quiet, we can hear God's voice better. We can make wiser choices. But being silent isn't always easy. It takes practice and self-control. We might feel a strong urge to speak up and defend ourselves. But sometimes, the best defense is no defense at all. When we choose silence, we're not giving up. We're not letting others win. We're actually winning in a different way. We're winning by keeping our peace. We're winning by staying true to ourselves and to God. Silence can also help us in our relationships. When someone is angry or upset, staying quiet can calm things down. It gives the other person space to think and cool off. It shows that we're not trying to fight or argue. Think about a time when you chose to be quiet instead of arguing. How did it make you feel? Did it change how the other person acted? Silence can be a powerful tool for peace. Remember, silence doesn't mean we never speak up. There are times when we need to use our voice, but we can learn to choose our battles wisely. We can learn when to speak and when to be still. As we go through life, we'll face many challenges. People might say things that aren't true about us. They might try to make us angry or upset. In those moments, we can remember Jesus' example. We can choose the power of silence. Next time you feel the urge to defend yourself, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself if speaking up is really necessary. You might find that silence is the best answer. It might be the very thing that helps you win the battle you're facing. Imagine a vibrant garden, a place of beauty and peace. In this garden, we meet a woman named Eve, who engages in a conversation with a serpent. At first glance, this might appear to be a simple exchange. However, this dialogue can be seen as a pivotal moment with significant consequences. Eve is content in the garden, enjoying the harmony of her surroundings. God has entrusted her and Adam with one straightforward guideline. They may partake from any tree, except one. This rule is clear-cut and reasonable. Yet, when the serpent approaches and questions Eve about the rule, she chooses to clarify it for him. Initially, there's nothing inherently wrong with Eve's response. She is simply sharing information. However, by discussing the rule, she inadvertently introduces a seed of doubt. The serpent twists her words and sows uncertainty, making her question the intent behind God's command. This is where things begin to shift. The serpent takes advantage of Eve's openness, persuading her that eating the fruit would not lead to harm. He entices her with promises of wisdom akin to that of God, and these alluring lies resonate with Eve, sparking her curiosity about the fruit. Consider for a moment. What if Eve had chosen to remain silent? What if she hadn't felt the need to explain God's command? In that case, the serpent might not have found the opportunity to deceive her. A moment of silence could have shielded her from temptation. This narrative teaches us a valuable lesson. Not every conversation serves our best interests. Sometimes, attempts to clarify ourselves can unknowingly invite challenges. We may believe we're acting rightly, yet our words can inadvertently be used against us. Eve's dialogue opened a pathway for doubt, which ultimately led her to disobey God's instruction. By eating the fruit and sharing it with Adam, she took an action that forever changed humanity's trajectory. Her experience illustrates that communication isn't always beneficial. Excessive talking can lead us to say things we might regret, or offer others a chance to mislead us. This doesn't imply that we should refrain from speaking altogether. Rather, it suggests that we should exercise discernment, reflecting on whether our words are necessary and constructive. In our own lives, we often feel compelled to justify our actions or clarify our intentions. However, Eve's story serves as a reminder that discretion can often be the wiser choice. Sometimes, choosing silence may be more advantageous. Consider your own experiences. Are there instances where you find yourself talking more than necessary? Do you explain things that might be best left unsaid? These may be moments when embracing silence could yield better outcomes. Silence can be empowering. It can protect us from saying the wrong thing and prevent us from being misled. During moments of quiet, we grant ourselves the opportunity to reflect and to listen, perhaps even to divine guidance, rather than relying solely on our own thoughts. Eve's story offers a cautionary perspective about the significance of our words. They possess the capacity to create positive or negative outcomes. It's crucial to wield them with wisdom, knowing when to speak and when to listen. As we navigate our lives, we will encounter various choices, each leading to opportunities for dialogue or silence. During these pivotal moments, let us remember Eve. Reflect on how her words led to challenges, and consider whether speaking is truly the best path forward. Imagine being in a room full of people, and they're saying negative things about you. It's a situation that many of us would find challenging, leading us to want to speak out in our defense. However, we can learn valuable lessons about the power of silence from Jesus' example. When faced with his impending death, Jesus stood before those who sought to harm him, enduring numerous false accusations. Remarkably, he chose not to respond. The Bible recounts this in Matthew 27:14, but he gave him no answer, not even to a single charge. This moment of silence was profound. Rather than escalating the conflict with words, Jesus confused his accusers by not retaliating. He understood that they were not genuinely seeking the truth. They were trying to ensnare him in his own words. Often, we feel compelled to explain ourselves in hopes of changing minds, but there are times when people have already made their judgments. In such instances, speaking may only serve to drain our energy. Jesus recognized this and opted for silence, demonstrating an important strategy in responding to challenges. In our own lives, we frequently want to articulate our position or defend our choices. However, Jesus teaches us that silence can be a powerful response. This doesn't mean we should never speak out. Rather, it encourages us to choose our moments wisely and to use our words thoughtfully. Adopting this kind of quiet strength can be transformative. It can surprise others and prompt them to reconsider their actions or words. In a world filled with constant noise and opinion sharing, especially on social media, we could benefit from moments of intentional silence, just as Jesus did. This doesn't imply that we should shy away from standing up for what is right. Instead, it encourages us to be discerning about when to engage in discussions and when to reserve our words for the most meaningful conversations. Reflect on your own experiences. Have there been times when speaking too much felt counterproductive? Consider the situations now where a quiet approach might be more effective, whether in professional settings, with friends, or online. Practicing this kind of silence takes effort. It's not easy to remain calm when faced with unfair criticism, but Jesus exemplified this powerful option in difficult times. He showed us that remaining composed can be incredibly impactful. Additionally, Jesus taught us to be mindful of how we share our spiritual treasures. He cautioned us in the Bible, saying, "Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs." While this may seem severe, Jesus wanted us to recognize the importance of protecting our spiritual gifts. The pearls that Jesus refers to are not material possessions, but represent our inner treasures, our peace, wisdom, and faith. These gifts are invaluable, but not everyone will appreciate their worth. Some may misunderstand or even react negatively, which is why it's essential to guard these sacred aspects of our lives. Have you ever faced skepticism or mockery while sharing your faith? It can be exhausting and may feel like a struggle against indifference. Jesus encourages us to be aware of these dynamics and to avoid unnecessary conflicts. Jesus understood the importance of sharing his gifts wisely. He knew when to perform miracles and when to reserve his power. He chose to share his abilities only with those who came to him with the right intentions. Sometimes, our quietness about our faith isn't rooted in fear. It's a reflection of discernment. We safeguard the precious gifts from God, ensuring they remain protected from those who may not appreciate their value. Being reserved can be a means of preserving our faith. It shields our spiritual treasures from those who may not recognize their significance. This doesn't imply that we should never share our beliefs. Rather, it emphasizes the importance of being thoughtful about our approach. Consider how you share your faith. Are you offering your pearls to everyone, regardless of their receptiveness? Or are you being intentional and discerning? It's crucial to reflect on this. Sharing our faith with the right audience at the right moment is vital. We shouldn't expend our energy on those who are indifferent or disrespectful. Instead, we ought to focus our words on those who are open and prepared to listen. This teaching from Jesus serves as a guiding light in our everyday lives, encouraging us to be prudent in sharing our spiritual experiences. We don't need to divulge everything to everyone. We can choose to whom we reveal our faith. Being intentional with our spiritual gifts is not an act of selfishness, it's an act of stewardship. We are ensuring that these precious treasures are nurtured and not squandered. Embracing moments of silence can be incredibly valuable in our lives. Jesus exemplified the importance of knowing when to speak and when to be still, and recognizing this distinction can greatly enhance our faith journey. We've explored the balance between speaking and being quiet, but now let's delve deeper into the strength that comes from stillness. Isaiah 30:15 reminds us that, "In quietness and trust is your strength." This concept may seem counterintuitive. How can being quiet lead to strength? Let's consider this further. In a world that often feels chaotic, we may think that constant activity or conversation equates to strength. However, true resilience can often be found in moments of stillness. Imagine a robust tree during a storm. While its smaller branches sway and bend, the trunk remains firm and grounded. Similarly, when faced with challenges, we can find strength not just in action, but in pausing and taking a breath. Being still does not equate to inaction. Rather, it involves placing our trust in God instead of solely relying on our efforts to manage every situation. It can be a challenge to step back and allow God to take control, especially when our instinct is to jump in and solve problems immediately. Yet, there are times when practicing patience and embracing quietness is the wisest course of action. In those still moments, we open ourselves up to hearing God's voice more clearly. Much like turning down a loud television to engage in conversation, quietness allows us to receive insights and understanding that we might otherwise overlook. This clarity can empower us to make more thoughtful choices moving forward. Being still is not just for Christians. Many religions talk about how important it is to be quiet sometimes. In Buddhism, people sit still to clear their minds. In Hinduism, yoga helps people find peace by being quiet. These practices show that being still can help anyone feel better and think more clearly. Scientists have also found that being quiet is good for us. It can help lower stress and blood pressure. It can even make us feel happier. One study found that people who took time to be quiet came up with better ideas and solved problems better than people who were always busy. So how can we use this idea of being still in our lives? Here are some simple ways. 1. Take a few minutes each day to sit quietly. Don't look at your phone or watch TV, just be still. 2. When you feel upset or angry, try to pause before you act. Take a deep breath and give yourself time to think. 3. If someone says something that bothers you, you don't always have to answer right away. It's okay to be quiet and think about it first. 4. When you have a big decision to make, spend some time being still. This can help you hear what God might be telling you. 5. Try to find a quiet place where you can go when things get too noisy or busy. Being still doesn't signify weakness. Rather, it reflects inner strength. It requires bravery to remain quiet amidst a cacophony of noise and to trust in God's plan when our instinct is to take control. In today's fast-paced world, quiet moments are indeed hard to come by. However, these moments can be incredibly transformative. They allow us to cultivate peace and make more thoughtful decisions, while also deepening our faith. Have you considered that silence might be one of your most powerful spiritual tools? We often believe that communication with God requires words, but perhaps the key to truly hearing Him lies in embracing stillness. Finding time for quiet reflection can be challenging in our bustling lives, yet these moments of silence are essential for spiritual growth. They enable us to discern God's voice amidst the everyday noise. When we allow ourselves to be quiet, we open ourselves up to a deeper connection with Him. The Bible provides a compelling example in 1 Kings 19:11-13, where God speaks to Elijah, not in the chaos of wind, earthquakes, or fire, but in a gentle whisper. This illustrates the idea that God's messages often come softly, inviting us to listen more attentively. Reflect on your own life. How often do you pause to simply listen? It's easy to fill our days with chatter. We often feel the need to explain, defend, or express our frustrations. Yet in doing so, we may overlook what God is trying to communicate to us. Creating space for silence may require effort, especially in a world filled with distractions. However, allowing ourselves to be quiet is crucial for our spiritual journey. This stillness creates a welcoming environment in our hearts where we can encounter God, much like crafting a serene room within ourselves for meaningful dialogue with Him. Furthermore, embracing silence can bring additional benefits. It aids in clearer thinking about spiritual matters, enhances our focus during prayer, and helps us steer clear of trivial disputes. By choosing to cultivate quietness, we preserve our emotional well-being and maintain a sense of peace. Many important Christian leaders emphasize the significance of being quiet. They believe it deepens our connection with God, allowing for wisdom and greater spiritual understanding. Creating quiet spaces in our day signals to God that we are eager to listen. We communicate, "God, I'm here. I'm ready to hear your voice." This practice fosters a deeper intimacy with God and enhances our understanding of Him. Regular quiet time empowers us to make better choices. In a world filled with noise, clear thinking becomes challenging. Yet, in silence, we can discern God's guidance and learn His desires for our lives. Moreover, being quiet strengthens our faith, much like charging a battery. In moments of silence, we draw upon God's strength, equipping us for life's challenges and the dissent we may face regarding our beliefs. You may think that being quiet is simple, but it requires practice in today's noisy environment. Here are some steps to incorporate quiet time into your day. These strategies can help you use silence as a powerful tool in your spiritual journey. First, start small by dedicating just 5 minutes each day for quiet time. Though it seems brief, it can create a significant impact. During these 5 minutes, refrain from talking or using your phone. Simply sit and reflect on God. Silent prayer is welcomed. This quiet moment draws you closer to Him. Next, consider your response when faced with negativity. It's natural to react defensively, but what if you paused for silence first? Before responding, seek God's help, take a deep breath, and contemplate your words. This thoughtful pause enables wise and kind responses. Another beneficial habit is to listen more and speak less. When engaged with others, prioritize understanding their words over waiting for your turn to talk. This approach fosters deeper connections and gives you the time to reflect before sharing your thoughts. Sometimes, the urge to justify ourselves arises. In such instances, think of Jesus, who often chose silence in the face of criticism. Embracing quiet doesn't show weakness. Rather, it reflects strength and trust in God. As you practice these steps, you'll refine your ability to embrace silence. Like mastering a skill, it becomes easier with repetition. In time, you'll find that stillness fortifies your faith and fosters deeper trust in God. Furthermore, silence enables you to choose your battles wisely. Not every conflict warrants a response. Occasionally, letting go and maintaining peace conserves your energy for what truly matters. Remember, even in silence, God is at work. Allowing Him to manage situations often proves more effective than our attempts to fix everything ourselves. Quietude grants God the space to operate in His divine timing. In our noisy world, embracing silence can be transformative. When others misunderstand us, we need not feel compelled to explain. Instead, we can trust that God will reveal the truth in His perfect timing. Though this path can be challenging, it's profoundly rewarding. By stepping back from constant defensiveness, we can focus on our spiritual journey. This doesn't mean eliminating our voice, but choosing our words with intention and placing our faith in God. In moments of difficulty, reflect on whether it's a time to speak or an opportunity for silence, allowing God to work.